Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Sketch Wagon, and welcome, Amy. And we are going to it's almost the holidays, and we're going to be talking about, and hold on a second because I had it on, it comes on YouTube, and so I'm hearing different. So take it for a little bit, Amy, while I turn this off.
Yeah, and your microphone's breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
We should have had all this solved in the last 10 minutes, but we don't.
Is it okay now?
Now,
Can you hear?
yeah, now you sound better.
I have a. Hold on just a second. All right.
And we're
That's
live.
the thing that's fun about live is that you get a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Yes, yes. No edits. It's great. This is humaning.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about sketching from life.
Well, and sketching people in general. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of us sketch like when we're at family gatherings. Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas is coming up, Hanukkah, any of the holidays that you celebrate. You know, solstice. Mm-hmm. Speaking of solstice, did you see the aurora borealis?
I did. My stepsister sent a call out to the group, you know, the family text, and I happened to see it, and so I went outside, and surprisingly, you could see it via the naked eye, which is so rare. Like, I think we occasionally get the auroras down here, but you can kind of only get them with your camera. But this was, you could see pink, and I thought, well, this is either like a really bad chemical spill gone wrong, or and I held up my camera and I'm like, oh, it's the auroras, and it was just really cool. I got some cool pictures.
I wish I went out and I didn't see anything, and I should have taken my camera out the first night.
Yeah, that's the surefire test. Like if you think there might be one, or you heard there might be one, and you just want to check, like get your iPhone out and hold it up, because it just picks up on all of the stuff that our eyes can't pick up on. So
yes, and it was going on last night, but I wasn't getting the color. I did take a picture with my iPhone, and you could see that there was like a glow, but it wasn't as colorful as the night. I mean, the night before was so amazing. I mean,
it was amazing. Yeah. Do you follow Dean Regas?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, his pictures were really cool as well. He's like for those of you who don't know, he's like a local, like a Cincinnati-based. Well, he was. He might not be anymore, but he's a stars guy. He's like an astronomer. That's the right word, right? Not astrologer. That's
astronomer. Yeah, he's an astronomer.
And I get those two words mixed up.
Yeah, he worked for years at the Cincinnati Observatory, which is a beautiful place to visit because they have they have a modern telescope
there.
Yeah, it's fun they also have like really one of the old telescopes, like from the 1800s, and they actually rent telescopes. You can, if you're a member, you can actually check out a telescope for your house.
Yeah,
and that's always really exciting.
But we should get on to people.
Yes,
it's hard to human.
Yes, it is hard to human. And this was your idea to do this, and I think it's a great one. And what was your inspiration for this? Because you said there's a couple people that you love.
Yeah, on Instagram. Just on there's one person in particular. Like we talk about sketching and kind of watercolors and whatever, but like when you're even if you're just using watercolor, I think drawing is the heart of like making pictures of people. You're usually drawing in some way. And so there's a few things on Instagram that I follow. One of them is this account called Wild Ink Sketch. And I remember noticing her drawings of her family at the holidays. And I thought, well, that's really beautiful, because I've sat and done pictures of people around the holidays.
We've all done it.
Yeah, a little bit more lying around time, you know, that kind of thing. And people are generally like feet up, lying still. So you have like natural kind of models or whatever. But so she's got a lot of beautiful approaches to drawing people. And then I started thinking about Sneaky Artist, who you have actually been on his podcast.
Yes, and I also hung out with him at Sketcherfest. He's really a great guy.
Yeah, and he's on a book tour. What is his name again?
Nishant Jain.
Yeah, Nishan. So
Hi,
he's
Nishant.
on he's on a book tour right now with his Sneaky Artist book, and he draws, like, his approach is draw little figures, hundreds of them, like tiny little, just go and draw little line figures. And I love his approach, and it's very playful and it's very accessible. And then if all of this is like, oh, but I'm scared to draw people, like drawing in general is like, ugh, there's a third account called Drawing is Free, and that one is also on Instagram, and it's amazing. It's exactly what it says. It's drawing is free. Drawing is for anybody. You can use anything to draw. You can draw a line in the sand with a stick. Like, drawing is a birthright to people. And they have this approach, and they occasionally have little prompts for people to kind of learn how to draw. And they have lots and lots and lots of examples of how drawing can be simplified, and how, one drawing can be different from another. And so it kind of is a nice way to open up the idea of what drawing even is, because I think a lot of us have that, like, drawing on the right side of the brain, those examples from Betty's old book, which is a great book. And yet the drawings are so right.
Yes.
Like, whatever that means. And I think all of us have that from, taking art classes in school, like in high school or whatever. Like, things needed to be a certain way of representing, and that's all out the window. We're not getting graded. It doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters is the doing of it. And I'm super passionate about that. Like, just really just making art makes us better people. It makes us better humans. And by better, I don't mean improved. I mean, we're more of ourselves in the drawing process and in the creation, really. Like, if you're not a drawer and you're a writer, well, then write. And if you're a musician, then make music, because those are all things that make us really human. And they can be commodified, and they should be. Artists should make a living if that's what they do. But that doesn't mean it has to be only the people who are professionals making.
Oh, no, I think everybody should draw. And
everybody should draw. Yeah.
The ideas that you have here, like where you talk about blind contour drawing. And there's also another artist.
Yeah. Do you want to explain real quick, like, what blind contour drawing is, for if anybody's like on here who's like, I don't even know what that means?
It means drawing from life, but not looking at your paper. So you're drawing and just looking at it and moving your hand, and it has an energy to it. And I think that's why people love it, is because it adds an energy to the drawing that you don't often get. I mean, I think one thing, and what I look for in a drawing is not necessarily accuracy, but the energy and capturing the moment. And blind contours is a great way to do it. There's people that do single line drawings where they don't take their, these are all good exercises to experiment with. And really,
you don't have to go full blind. You can be semi-blind, where you're sort of occasionally looking to see that you haven't gotten too Picasso on your picture. But like, it is nice because it turns off your internal editor.
Yes.
And then you look at it, and it might be wonky, but you're so right. It has a life to it, an energy to the drawing, which is really cool. So,
and it's fun to do drawings of people as they do things. And you just need to not worry about how accurate it is. And one thing that I notice a lot of people are really afraid to do is drawing hands and drawing body parts that are kind of hard to do in perspective. But when just scribble those 5 figures in. I always tell people when they avoid hands, you don't have to like draw it in perspective. Just like, it's almost like a gestural loop to draw those fingers, and you just add it on the hands. A lot of times when I'm doing,
and hands are just shapes. Like,
they are.
You don't have to give all the details.
And one secret to drawing people with hands holding things is to draw the hands first and then connect the arms to them.
Yeah.
Because if you start drawing the arms, it's going to go wonky immediately.
That's true.
But
so when you start a drawing, Christina, of a person, what's the first thing that you put down?
I do a quick shape of the whole body. And
Okay.
then I kind of draw stuff around. I try to draw the negative space first when I'm drawing people
Oh,
quickly,
okay. Yeah.
because I find that kind of gets it on the right track faster than, like, if you start with a face or whatever and you're drawing a group of people, that makes it more difficult. And then
I
you kind of
usually
draw the
try to
people in.
I start with like a gesture. Like I think about like
That's a great idea.
where's their skeleton
Mhm.
in space and what
Mhm.
angle. Like I start with like the shoulder girdle and like the
Mhm.
hips, and like
Mhm.
you can tell a lot, like even with just a stick figure, depending on like where the shoulders go and what the stick figure inside us
Mhm.
all is doing. And if you just begin with that, you're on your way, really. So
Mhm. And a lot of this depends on the environment you're drawing the person in, because there's two different ways you can draw people. You can just do, and we'll have a document that people can look at, and we'll have a link for that in the show notes. And there's different ways you can approach people. Some people just draw, like you said, contour drawings or quick gestures of people, or you can draw people in their environment, or you can draw groups of people. And I think the negative space often comes in more handy when you're drawing groups of people and kind of figuring
mhm.
how they fit in the space. And plus, a lot of times, once you get that shape down, people move or leave. And so you're going to have to deal with, and often when you're drawing crowds of people, you're the scene at the end. I just draw people as I see them
Yeah.
and don't, and so
And
it's
it's
actually,
ever shifting.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
always
So the group of
shifting.
people you've drawn were never in the same space together. You're sort of
Yeah. And
drawing as
also,
time
like,
goes on.
again, if we have any non-artists or beginner artists here, like the negative space is just like all the space around any given thing. So it's
It's kind of
just,
thinking about drawing the shape, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The everything outside of
Hmm.
the shape. So outside of the person or the thing that you're drawing is the negative space. And
Hmm.
sometimes that's where like exciting things happen, is in the negative space in a drawing.
Hmm.
I love how your drawings, Christina, sometimes when the people aren't the purpose of the drawing necessarily, your people look like they're very like architectural
Oh,
drawings.
thanks.
Like where the little people just kind of like are there to show like a bit of scale, because we all
Hmm.
kind of know how tall generally people are or
Hmm.
where they fit in a space. And so if you're like at an Urban Sketchers event and you're drawing an interior, if you put a few people here or there, it gives you a sense of the scale of the space. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, not just the scale. I think adding people when you're urban sketching is helpful because it gives the feel of the what's happening right then and what the
Mhm.
vibe of the place is. And because, like, for example, if you draw a market, for example, there's if you don't put people in it, you're not getting the feel of
It's a
what the
bit
market is.
creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little creepy when you leave the people out of a lot of these scenes. It's sort of an apocalyptic.
Like here's a
Where'd everybody go?
hotel. Here's a hotel with no people in it, and you're like, okay, where's Jack Nicholson? So
Just draw a little kid on a big
he's
wheel.
on a little tricycle. Yeah, a little big wheel.
I mean, a lot of it is to kind of capture the energy of the space around you, and that might include people, pets,
Mhm.
um, vehicles. I mean, a lot of that stuff. One of the guys that taught at the Urban Sketchers Summit this year, Wes Douglas, he has a segment that he calls Urban Uglies, and he talks about drawing the stuff that you see, that like dumpsters and trash cans
Yeah.
and pipes falling on. Like he said, that's what makes something interesting, and sometimes
Well,
that makes a beautiful drawing.
I always, I'm not a big fan of like power lines and all that
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
stuff, but I will say they make for interesting drawings.
Hmm.
Especially if you're in like a third world country where they look like squirrels' nests with all the wires, going in a million
That's
different
true. And
directions.
actually, in
Yeah.
the U.S., there's a lot like that too.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work on this road that I live on North Bend, and there are a ton of these poles, like people hit these poles all the time. Like North Bend Road, I don't know if they have a record, but at least once a year, the pole by our house, literally, I'm not kidding, the pole by our house gets hit by a car and they have to replace it. They probably like have a warehouse of replacement poles for this thing because it's a curve and people go too fast. So it's usually
Yeah.
people at night who are drunk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, my favorite story was one night there was a wreck and our street sign had been knocked down and a car had almost driven. There's a new housing development. A car had almost hit the house.
Oh my
And
gosh.
there was somebody that came out of the car and was crying and sitting on the road across the street. By the morning, and the pole was down. By the morning, everything was back up. The street sign was back up. The pole was back up. I was just like, wow, they really act fast in this neighborhood.
Somebody with a magic wand was like,
It almost felt like it because I mean,
Reparo.
that's what it kind of looked like. I mean, you come home on New Year's Eve and the pole was hit, and you come home and there's all these emergency vehicles in front of your house, and you're like,
Oh
"What happened?"
gosh.
It's because somebody hit the pole yet again.
Yeah. That's
But yeah,
well,
I mean,
hopefully they were okay.
and maybe that's why there's so many that are coiled up, and I see a lot of those rat's nest ones you're talking about, and that's
Yeah.
just the sort of thing he was talking about drawing. But back
Yeah.
to people, I think that it's really and you know when you're at home and like you said, you have more time to at the holidays. Everybody's sitting around and watching TV, and it's a great
Mm,
time to have your sketchbook out and draw. You
it
know,
is. And also, you know, like in thinking about like being at home, but just the best places to sort of try it out are in
yes,
places where people are, and this can be at the holidays, where people
hmm
are in um, predictable ways of standing, or like they'll be there for a minute, or if they move, they'll be right back. Like if they're putting away dishes or
hmm
cooking, or one of my favorite things to draw are musicians because
oh yes,
yeah,
yeah,
they're alive and they're moving and they're ever changing, but they're also always back to the same gesture.
hmm
Like
now.
if you go and draw a band of musicians,
Mhm.
each one is going to be doing a certain thing, and you can practice doing these gestures because for the whole evening they're going to be doing the same gesture, just kind
Yeah,
of with mild differences, but musicians have to do the same thing over and over again to get the result.
and that's
So
why. And now, do you at holidays? Do you ever play music with your family or sing carols or?
no, I mean, sometimes music, yeah, but I'll get together with friends for music for sure. But the hard thing about that is I used to draw a lot when my son was coming up learning the music, and then I picked up the music, and now I know enough tunes that I never draw at
Hmm
music sessions, which is great because I have a good time, and I also don't get as much drawing done as I used to.
but I think that's a decent.
Yeah, it's an okay trade. But for sure, like look for places where like if you want to practice or kind of get to know it, look for places that where people are repeating their gestures. And another thing, like I'm always really always cognizant of people not wanting to and this is maybe I'm just being what do they call that where what you say is
Self
what you are.
conscious.
Yeah, like
Oh,
I'm very self-conscious about even having done it for so long, but like trying a new thing out in public is sometimes not the best idea. But you can practice drawing people from movies.
true.
Like
I know people
like
that. Yeah.
you know that I sent some of the drawings in that I sent to you, they that were the line drawings of people hugging.
Mm-hmm.
Those I did from Love Actually.
Aw.
Yeah, because it's that scene at the beginning and at the end where they're in
Mm-hmm.
the airport and all the people are greeting one another. And it's one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite movie scenes. It always like makes me cry in a good
Aw.
way. And I think those drawings were from I was I was watching that scene when the pandemic first hit and
Yeah. Yeah.
people were missing one another, and so I drew a lot of people hugging because we were all missing hugs back then. But it's a perfectly reasonable. I mean, you've got these people moving across your screen. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to practice. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good, and when you're at home, obviously a lot of people are off work, and that's why it's a nice environment, like during Thanksgiving or during Christmas, to draw. There's people that also like to draw food. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
Oh,
great
yeah,
thing
that's fun. And also,
draw
we
your
need to
dinner
remember
or
that,
the relish trays or
yeah, and dogs. Dogs
yes,
are people.
always the or cat.
Yes, true. Or cats. I don't have a cat anymore, but
Yeah, yeah. I
yes.
mean, whatever animals that are at the family gathering are fun to draw.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of different things. I like to draw the decorations that my mom has up at her house. So I
Mhm.
usually sketch the tree while I'm there. And sometimes you even get some new art supplies for Christmas, so you can use those and try them out and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And
And
it's also, I will say, when I've had the time to get the art supplies out, at a holiday,
mhm,
if you've got kids around, it is
mhm.
a it's the break-in. Like, you can
Oh
really
yeah.
get through to kids if you sit down with your sketchbook and start doodling. They're going to be
Mhm.
over your shoulder wondering what you're doing.
That's true.
And
If you're going to be at something
it's
with kids, you could even bring a little book
mhm.
for them to draw in.
Absolutely. And then another thing we had talking about is getting the family drawing through games, which I'm not a big game player. I hate games,
Mhm,
really. But there are some, like Pictionary. There's a lot of
mhm,
pressure because you're the one and only drawer, and
mhm,
everybody's looking
mhm.
at you, and that stinks. But there's another game that I just learned about, and it's called Telestrations, and
You were
it's
talking
actually
about that the last episode.
it is a lot of fun. Yeah,
Wow.
I think we might have talked about it like after
Mhm,
we recorded, but it's a lot of fun. It comes with little sketchbooks that are like dry erase pages, and you
mhm,
get a card with a word on it, and your job is to draw that word. Like, you write the word, then you turn the
mhm.
page, then you draw the word, then you or
Yeah, it was
something
like
like that.
telephone, right? You said
It's
that
like
you
telephone. So, like, the
yeah.
person next to you then gets your word, and they have to
Mhm,
draw it, but then they flip it over back to they show their drawing, and then the person next to them has to write what they think the word is, and then they pass it, and someone has to draw that. So it goes
mhm,
back and forth between drawing and interpreting, drawing and interpreting. And if you've got a group of like 8 or 10 people, it gets ridiculous, and it's so funny people's, like, how they choose to interpret, how they choose to draw something, because everybody draws things differently. It's
mhm.
just a laugh riot. It's so much fun. And I think anytime you can get a pen in people's hands, getting them to draw, life is better. So that's
Oh,
just me.
definitely. And
Yeah.
I think that's I mean, you could always bring extra drawing stuff if people ever want to try it out when
Yeah.
you're visiting. If you have a particularly large family gathering, several, most of ours are pretty small, but if you're at a larger one, sometimes the kids might want to pick up the pen or maybe somebody that's an adult,
Yeah,
might
I
want to
heard
pick
about
it up.
this game because I was thinking a lot about like drawing in the holidays,
Mhm.
and getting people drawing and drawing people and all that. And there's a
Mhm.
game that's like a blind draw
Mhm.
game. And so there's something about, like, the person drawing is being told that they have like a subject on their back, and they have to draw what that subject is based on the description that everyone else has given them, and they're trying
Uh-huh.
to make a drawing of something they have no idea what it is. And everybody's going, no, 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 that part is longer, that has to be, like, whatever. And
Oh
so
gosh,
it's
so everybody's art directing you. So
yes.
it's a primer if you want to become an illustrator.
Yeah. Could you just move that?
Exactly, exactly. That's a good exercise. Now, when you draw people, what do you think is the biggest hurdle that you personally have experienced, like when you're drawing
I
people
will
back?
say drawing people is not my favorite thing.
Mhm,
I like drawing people, and drawing buildings are two of my least favorite things to draw, which is terrible to
mhm.
say as like someone who's, on the Urban Sketchers admin team. But I will say that I've learned that you just get better at it by doing, and that
Mhm,
still not every drawing I make is going to be successful. And by
No.
successful, I mean, like, people aren't going to look like they're hobbits or whatever. Like it is about scale. I've learned that people are taller and lankier than we give them credit for. That heads can be too big. But that just, and I put together, I don't know if this is a good time to talk
Oh, do you
about
want
it,
me to share? Yeah, I'll share it.
if you want to. Yeah, I put together a little like a little download for you guys, and it's like a little folio book. I don't really have one. I should have made one that I could show you how to do, but you just print out this page here, and it comes with 8 little rectangles. And you basically fold the book and do a slice in the middle, and then you kind of squeeze it together and then turn it into a little book.
I love it.
And you can kind of keep it in the back of your sketchbook as like a reminder of approaches to drawing. And there's, you can do carrot people, you can do blind contour like we talked about. And I give a few little examples, but it's, so it's just a little gift.
Yeah, I think that's a great handout to have when you go home. Like, I mean, like I said, I like to sketch decorations, or, I don't particularly like sports. So when there's sports on television, that's a great time to pull that sketchbook out and draw.
Yep. Sports ball.
Exactly. Is that the one with the ovoid ball? I've never, and everybody has what they're into, and there's many sketchers that love sports. And that's also a good exercise for drawing people.
Well, because people are doing repeated actions. And so, you're basically like, it's repeated and somewhat predictable. Like if you're watching a basketball game, people are going to run up and down. They're going to be shooting. They're going to be doing certain gestures over and over and over again. And so it's a great place to practice that. And if you're like up in the rafters at a game, then it's a great place to practice carrot people, which is like the tiny figures that occupy a space. And you don't have to give away all the information when you're drawing people, especially from far away. Like they're just little shapes with clothes on, really.
Exactly. And
ideally.
I think with any type of sketching, whether you're drawing people or you're drawing an interior and exterior, one of the problems that people have is they get frustrated midway through, and that they just say, I don't want to draw anymore because I'm not happy with this. And I think the biggest thing that you can do is finish it. I mean, just finish your drawing, don't stop, because you drew one line
or do a whole page of like overlapping.
That is really cool. I've seen
because that can make a really interesting, almost abstraction. Like if you hate whatever drawing you're doing, then do something that overlaps it, and then do something maybe with paint or colored pencils on the shapes that appear in there. And then it becomes just about putting art supplies to paper. And then it doesn't have to be even a person. Like it can move beyond, or you could write over the top of it if you wanted to. Like it doesn't have to, not everything's going to be the freaking Mona Lisa. And to be fair, she's not all that. Like I know I know she's priceless and everything, but she's not the best. She's not the best drawing or painting of a person ever.
Well, that just tells you how something gets into the zeitgeist, and it's sort of, you start getting to Platonic philosophy and the world of forms, and is that the best representation of art? But yet it's kind of what people think of when they think of a portrait is Mona Lisa. But is it the best portrait or most interesting? Of course not. But
well, I love like if we're talking about like home kind of like people to look up who did sort of portraits of people in the home. Mary Cassatt, I love.
Oh yes.
Like her moms and babies. Like they're very intimate and they're very beautiful. They're also very colorful. I think it's really worthwhile. Like first of all, not only doing your own work, like that's the most important thing, but sometimes allowing yourself to do a little digital deep dive into art history and or better yet, even go to a museum.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes we see these beautiful pictures on digital,
Out of
two
context too.
out of context and two-dimensionally on our screens. Everything looks sort of pretty on the screen. But when you look at someone's sketchbook or a real painting in a museum, you realize that the imperfections are there, like the brush strokes and everything. Even in a perfect painting, you can see that it was made by a human hand. And I think that seeing things on screens pushes that away in a
Yeah, it doesn't
way.
make you realize the texture or the feel or whatever in a
Yeah.
painting. And one thing interesting about Mary Cassatt was that she wove some suffragette stuff into her paintings, which I just found out,
I
which is
didn't
really
know
interesting. She
that.
was really interested in women getting the right to vote. So, as most women were,
Oh,
but
wow.
that made me like her paintings more.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Same. Yeah,
I
I'm
know
writing that
that was a
down.
really cool factoid about her.
That is so
But
cool.
one thing, there was a sketcher that recently posted a workshop she was doing, Roisin, how do you pronounce her? Cure? I don't know how you
Yeah,
pronounce it.
Rushing Curé. Yeah.
And she does a technique where you'll do the whole landscape and the people are transparent or translucent. And I
Yes.
think that that's a really cool technique to sort of get the ephemeral feeling of a space and how people move through it, because
Yeah.
really that accurately depicts an event. Like when you see, and that's something you can experiment with, like how you deal with the translucence. If you think about modern art and nude descending a staircase where it's like all like, it's sort of capturing each moment in time. That's
Yeah.
something that you can even capture and experiment with in urban sketching.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I
As
hadn't seen that she was doing that. I'll have to look it up. I love Roshin's work. We should
mhm,
we should
mhm.
see if we can get her on here to
Oh
chat
yeah,
with us
yeah.
sometime. She'd be
Maybe one day.
she'd be great. She'd be a fun one to talk to, I'm sure.
And then also the talking about Nishant, like he draws a ton of little people like on
Yeah.
a page, and that's a good way to just capture what you see
And
with.
they're like
Mhm,
very simple. They're sort
mhm.
of, I mean, they're not simple,
It's
but they
kind of
are.
distilled to
Yes.
I don't want to call it a gesture, but they're almost iconic. It's an icon
Yeah.
of each
Yeah. They're
person,
like little
really.
icons. Yeah. And he's done so many over the years. Like I love watching him work
Hmm.
online. Like it's fabulous.
And we were
So
talking about, when you draw different situations of family and stuff like that, like you were showing the picture you drew of your mom while she was in the hospital, how when you look back at that, that really helps you conserve and preserve your memories
yeah,
of the
yeah,
situation.
exactly. And my mom had a a fall a while back, and she was in hospital, and so I was going to sit in with her, and she was dozing, and I had my sketchbook, and so I made a drawing, and I asked her like afterwards, like, do you want to see my drawing? And I showed it to her, and she loved it, and I said, do you mind if
Hmm.
I pop it up online? So I did post it, but it
Hmm.
was like
Beautiful drawing.
I look at that drawing now, and it just kind of breaks my heart because it was such a vulnerable moment for her.
Hmm.
And of course I respected her privacy and asked her if I could share it along and whatever. But um, I think that drawing people is a very beautiful way to kind of um, like be empathetic in a way.
Hmm.
Like was it Kathy Horowitz? What's her name? Who drew the in I'm a terrible art historian, by the way. But she drew the Nazi Germany.
Oh, I know who you're
She
talking
drew the
about.
victims. Yeah, she drew the victims of that horror, and they're disturbing. They're really disturbing drawings, but they're also they're super
Well,
beautiful
it's
now.
reportage, which is, telling the story. I mean, that's one thing that we haven't touched on yet is when you draw people, whether at a family event or at
Yeah,
some
there's
other
that
thing.
person
It's kind of a type of
who
reportage.
it is, and it's not as exact as like a some of the court recorders, like
Mm-hmm.
the people who draw in court. But then
Mm-hmm.
there are other people who are drawing, like there's the one woman whose name escapes me now, who's drawing a lot of the ice stuff out in New
Mm-hmm.
York, and she did the when when Trump was in court and all that. She did a lot of the like stuff in the hallway. Like she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a court. What do you call that? What is
Courtroom artist. I mean, I don't know if
yeah,
there's like a special
she
name
wasn't
for it.
the official courtroom artist, but she was
Mm-hmm.
drawing very sketch and very energetic drawings of everything that was happening
Mm-hmm.
around that. And now she's doing that at the courthouse. She's taking stock of history that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not only cool for her as an artist, like
Mm-hmm.
it's improves her work, and she's like sketching, but it's also a really interesting record. We'll get her name and put them in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
But she's recording moments in history, which
And
is
I think that sometimes
fascinating.
stuff like that has more impact than a photo because,
I agree.
it tends to be more focused and it's more, you're concentrating better
Yeah,
on a scene. And so you're sort of, again, we were talking about the distilling of a scene.
yeah.
And a lot of times when you see a photo of something, there's aspects of it that are powerful, but there's also aspects that could be very confusing. And sometimes, like drawing from life, you get that confusion a little bit more, but it's also more distilled and more
Well, imagine,
concentrated.
like that drawing I did of my mom. If I had
Hmm.
just snapped a picture,
It just wouldn't have
it
the same emotional
wouldn't have the
impact.
same emotional impact as, I spent, a good half hour, 40 minutes while she snoozed, and just
Hmm.
kind of drew not only her, but the whole big situation of, the weird hospital bed that they have now, and all the little things hanging, and it
Hmm.
just, yeah, it was,
Hmm.
um, I mean,
And it's a good way to,
I'm glad
yeah.
she's better, and I'm glad that's behind her, but it was
Mhm.
a real human moment. So
Yeah, I think that I look at the drawings I've drawn of family and stuff, and it really does capture them in life in a way that a photo doesn't. And because you're
right.
talking about, like, I draw lots of pictures of like my mom and my brother cooking and preparing cocktails and stuff, and that
Hmm.
I think is really, I mean, I like those a lot better than if I'd snapped a photo of it. It wouldn't have the meaning. It
Yeah.
doesn't have the same feel. The story's different,
Yeah.
and I think
Well,
it
it
just makes.
really sets you as an artist. It puts
Mhm.
you in that moment. It's really grounding,
Mhm.
as, even if you have to kind of make yourself do it, which sometimes I do,
Mhm.
but it's a very grounding
Yeah.
thing to
Well, I do
do.
have a funny anecdote because you have to be careful when your family's watching sports because I remember I was just this is years ago and I don't even know. I think Troy and I were just married and we were all at one of their, I think their uncle's house watching. They were all watching the UK game and I was
Uh-huh.
sitting there with my drawing. I wasn't doing urban sketching at the time, but I was drawing the
Now,
whole
to
time.
clarify, that's
Yeah.
UK, University of Kentucky,
Yeah, University of Kentucky. And so they were all
not
watching.
Britain.
It was a tournament game and
Yeah.
they lost it like in the last few minutes. And I was drawing and I looked up from my drawing and I said, "Well, at least they played a good game." And everybody looked at me. I'm lucky I survived. I'm still alive. No one murdered me, but they were all heartbroken and I had not been paying attention to the game at all. And so I just pipe up this very unhelpful line and I'm still alive, but I'm sure they don't remember it with
Yeah,
fondness.
you
So
should not cross the Kentucky
don't
fans.
comment on the game if you don't know what's going
Don't
on.
cross the Kentucky fans. No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, don't say anything about, well, they played well, or, oh, don't ask questions. Like, occasionally I'll ask my husband questions about baseball, and he's like, don't even, why are you even pretending to be interested? And it's like, you don't need to, so be careful when you're drawing like that. I
Yeah.
have other things. I've also found, like, unfortunately, in our family events, there's not ever arguments about politics or whatever. But I found whenever you're talking to somebody that like starts just insists on starting the conversation, always change the topic to the weather
Yeah.
or animals.
Yeah.
So when they say X did this, or they try to engage you in an argument, say, my cat the other day did. and then show a picture. And they're like, "Oh, that's really cute," and then you've diffused the whole situation, and then get your
Well,
sketchbook
and
start drawing.
honestly, like, yeah, considering Thanksgiving's coming up, and some of us have people in our lives who might not align with where we are, and that this is, drawing our family members is kind of one way to keep the peace. Like,
It really is.
you could just kind of avoid. I mean, I too am very fortunate that I have, family events and everybody's aligned and we don't have that kind of strife. But I know that situation is very real for a lot of people, and
Mm-hmm.
that this is just a fun something to do that isn't political. It doesn't have to be. It can be, like for that woman in New York who's
Mm-hmm.
documenting things, but
Oh, I
it
love
doesn't have to
reportage.
be. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
great. But it doesn't have to be. It can be just simple,
Mm-hmm. And
So,
really, if you want to get started on this and you haven't done that much, I mean, just start, get your sketchbook out. And sometimes it's good just to start with a scribble, or some people start with like a splash of color on the page and then draw stuff
mhm.
on it.
Another fun thing to try to sort of get your head out of the game is to do a sketch with each hand and
Oh,
have
that's one thing I don't do, but that sounds like that would be really interesting.
it's very interesting. It's also really good for your brain to
Mm-hmm.
do opposite, like to use the opposite hand. It like lights up stuff in your brain. But because we're all about keeping our brains healthy these days. But um using both, and then that way whatever's wonky about the drawing that you do with your dominant hand, well, the one with your non-dominant hand is going to be even wonkier, and so it's kind of the conversation between those two little sketches can be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard some
So,
people like I remember when they were working on Nightmare Before Christmas, a lot of the concept artists started working with their left hand because they wanted
oh
this
wow,
looseness that they couldn't
yeah.
get, like, because like if you're really wanting to experiment with vibrant lines and looseness, sometimes drawing with your non-dominant hand is a great way to get there.
Yeah, and I was working with a student a while back, and she wanted to get looser and wanted, just kind of wanted to change things up. And so I had her get a pretty large pad of like newsprint, just cheap
Mm-hmm.
paper, like craft paper or whatever. And then to use a long paintbrush at the very end of a long arm, and to
Mm-hmm.
try to make, just kind of be doing this and try. And it was
Mm-hmm.
really interesting, the results that she got, and also
Mm-hmm.
like try holding your pencil like a kid, like a crayon,
Yeah.
and try making, like, it's just interesting to kind of mix up how you're making marks.
Mhm. That's a great
Yeah.
idea because I think you get in a rut if you do the same thing every time. Like, I try to
Yeah.
mix it up with materials and techniques. I try not to do the same thing every time just because just to keep it interesting too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
sometimes.
interesting for you and interesting for your viewers of your drawings, and
Mhm.
also like we don't want to, as artists, we always want to be evolving and discovering more ways of
Mhm.
expression. And if you don't change what you're doing, that mode of expression won't change, and it could
Mhm.
stagnate a little bit. So it is always fun to, get different colors or try different materials and different styles of paints, and then you'll find like, oh, I'm in the mood for gouache today, or
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
I'm going to I'm going to go with just these three colors of water. I'm going to go super triad, super simple. There's many approaches. I would say like pencils, like color pencils are a great thing
Mhm.
for like the like sketching around the family, because you can hand a pencil off to a kid and
Oh,
be like,
yeah,
"Try
yes, you can
try
share
this
your
on it,"
supply.
Yeah, and that way you're not like watercolor and water everywhere or whatever. You can, kind of keep things
And
simple.
one technique that I think is fun, and this is one that I first thought about doing regularly. Dan Archer is a British cartoonist, and he does interviews with people and does word balloons with their quotes, and that's kind of a fun thing too with family. Like, you
Yeah.
can, like, funny things somebody might say, you can have a little word balloon with them saying that quote.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And
Yeah.
that's a great way to kind of memorize like some of the, you know funny things that happen, like when your family's joking around or whatever, and you're
Right.
drawing them, and then add this quote with them with the word balloon, and don't worry about it looking right or what the text looks like. I mean, sometimes when it looks wonky, it looks even more fun. I think what
Yes.
people are looking for, and I think what we're all looking for, is authenticity.
Yes.
And
Agree.
like the human hand in it, you want it
Yes.
to have that, I think visceral and
Yes.
authenticity are the two things I think that you should look for most when you're doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, don't
And
you
the
agree?
more yeah, and the more you do it, the more you can combine
Yes.
somewhat realistic and the energetic, visceral quality. That those 2 come together after a lot of practice.
Mhm.
Like you can have a drawing that's like a realistic
Mhm.
or conveys what you have.
Representational.
Representational, yeah, but it might not have the visceral quality because it was too
Yes.
careful.
Yes.
And so I think that the way to get to representational that still contains the energy is to just do it and be okay with it, often being not representational. The more
Mhm.
you do it, the
And
better
sometimes
you're
even a
gonna
little
feel.
caricature. I mean, think about
Yep, little
exaggerating.
caricatures, keep it, yeah,
Mhm.
and keep things simple, but really, my whole approach to art is the Nike approach, which is just do it.
Exactly. I love that.
The more you do it, the better you're gonna feel about it, and the better you're gonna find your visual voice, but, like, drawing people is one of those things that I've had people who for years have been making beautiful drawings and are still like, yeah, I don't like drawing people. And I think at some point you just kind of need to do it because it's just another it's form in movement. And so if you can find a form that moves predictably, like dancers or musicians or sports, and you know try it out, give it a go, because it's the more drawings the better the world.
Mhm.
That's our tagline.
And if people have any questions, we see people are watching, feel free to type a comment and we'll answer any questions. And, I was thinking our next show is going to be in December, and we might even set up doing some demos of some of these techniques. Don't you
Oh, that'd
think?
be fun. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
we might
great.
have our next topic is going to be deck the halls, spelled,
No,
how do
sketch
you,
the halls.
sketch the halls. Sorry, sketch the
Yes,
halls.
so the halls being the holidays.
Yes, which I love
Yeah.
that term. I'd never heard it before, but I love it now that
Oh,
you've.
really? I
Yeah,
guess I
I was
I
just
guess
like,
I
this is
hang
so
around with a
clever. I
lot of
love it.
I hang around with people from across the pond, and so the
Yeah,
halls.
so I mean, maybe we can set up a couple demos if people want to see some of these drawing techniques, or if there's something people want us to talk about as far as sketching.
Yeah.
We're kind of home for a little bit, and we've talked a bit about travel, although we haven't talked about. You said that your trip to Guatemala is almost filled.
Yeah, only have 2 slots left for Guatemala.
Woohoo!
So get them while they're hot. And that's been really fun because I've been in a pretty much a situation of rebuilding since the pandemic. I mean, I used to sell
And
out
now it's
this trip
full.
2 solid weeks back to back, sold out every year. And then 2020 hit, and it's been a slow build up for a variety of reasons. People are not wanting to travel or,
Hmm.
whatever. It's complicated, but it's nice to see people taking the chance again, traveling. But I also think that there's a real, with AI happening. I think people are craving human activity. Like I'm
I think so. I agree.
seeing a lot of people, building community, getting together with crock pots and just like
Hmm.
doing human stuff, making music, playing games, whatever.
Hmm.
And this
All in meat
practice,
space.
yes, exactly, all in meat space. I love that. I haven't heard that expression.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, in meat space, in real time, like, and using, like, real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against the digital tools, I love my Procreate, but using watercolors and things you have to manipulate, pencils that you
Hmm.
have to
Yeah, there's
sharpen,
something
whatever.
special about. Oh, Amy, here's somebody with a question.
Oh my gosh, well, this is our first question.
I know. Hi, Allison. Oh, well, thank you.
All right. What does she say?
She says, "Hi, Amy. I've been quietly listening, feeling inspired to get back to sketching. It's been a while. This has been
Oh,
a
that's
delightful bit of
so.
serendipity to happen upon this video. Great tips. Allison in Rhode Island."
Oh my gosh, that's great. Hi, Allison. I think I know. I think Allison came to Ireland, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, how
So,
exciting.
yeah.
And keep with the comments. We're glad to hear you.
Yeah,
And
that's exciting. It's,
I know.
sometimes it's like, I mean, I feel this way. It's
You're
like,
throwing it out there.
yes, yes, it's like the proverbial spitting into the ocean,
Yeah.
or as one of my coworkers back in my teaching days used to say, like a fat in a windstorm. So I used to teach in Maine, and this guy would be like, "Ah, it's just a fat in a
I love the
windstorm."
I just love that accent. And also, yeah, oh, yep, she says, "I'm that Allison. I've got a
Yes.
flute
Hi,
lesson with Shannon
Allison.
soon. Want to start sketching musicians."
Excellent. I love that.
So,
I
and
love that.
and also the Morocco trip is starting to get deposits, and I'm confident it's going to fill up pretty soon. A lot of people
Yeah,
are interested in
Morocco
going.
is
Yeah,
that's
we're really
great.
excited about that one. And I can't wait to go in September. And but
Yeah, you've got a bit of
they're still
time for
opening.
that, so that's
Yeah,
great to hear that
yes.
you're getting the,
Yeah, already getting deposits for it, so that's
queries,
really
and
awesome.
you're gonna be doing a Zoom info night for
Yes,
that,
we just
right?
had the Zoom info last weekend, and there were a lot of
Okay,
people there, so that was good.
great.
And like I said, I'm really looking forward. I think, like you said, people are getting out again. It was funny. It's funny you mentioned AI because I literally just saw an ad like on, I think it was Facebook, and it was like, you don't have to go anywhere. This thing will take your picture and put it in any destination you
Oh,
want. And it was
no,
like
no, no, no,
it
no,
would
no,
like
no, 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 no.
Photoshop, or I guess put your image into the background of your choice. So rather than going to Morocco or to Antigua, it would put a picture of you there. And I was like, this seems to miss
I
the point of almost everything.
I have to say, God love Mark Zuckerberg, but he needs a bit of therapy. I'm
I
just
know.
saying.
And
That's so
it's like these people
sad.
are saying you don't want authentic experience, you want a simulation of something that's not real. And it's like you're missing the point of life.
You're missing the point. Yeah,
It's like the
yeah.
whole point is to be with other humans and interact
It's
with other
funny. I
humans.
don't I don't get I don't even feel annoyed by that. It
You're
makes
just
me
like, it's like
sad.
it is sad.
It makes me really sad because I think that there are some people who, out of fear, might like, here's the thing. If someone is limited in their ability to travel, I think that technology is marvelous. I think to be able to travel and see in 3 dimensions, to go to the
Mhm,
pyramids if you can't, whatever, that's great. I'm not pissing on that. But I think that if you can travel and experience things, and it doesn't have to be out of the country, it can be in your own town, but get out in the world. And if fear is the only thing holding you back, well, that is sad. It's
mhm,
tragic. And I think that, I mean, tooting our own horns, I think that what we're offering in the world is a way is like a basket to travel in with other people who are
mhm,
like-minded, and it's, you don't have to do it all alone, and it's a really cool. I know that when I teach these classes, these workshops,
mhm.
every group, whether they're a large group or small group or whatever year or whatever place we go, there's something about each group that's quite special. Like it is a thing that comes together, operates as a unit,
It's
and
like a
then
Frankenstein kind of thing.
yeah, and
You're
then
making
it
something
and then it
beautiful.
disperses, and the
Yeah,
relationships sometimes are very intense just for that week, and then it goes away. Sometimes friendships are made that stick around, and you
mhm,
touch base with people and whatever, but it is a really cool way to meet other people, and I've had a lot of really interesting solo travelers who come with their own story to the table, and it's just really a cool way to.
it makes you hopeful for humanity in a way,
I
because
agree.
I think that there's something about that. And it's funny, another quote I just recently saw is they were talking about Anthony Bourdain and how he was going around the world showing how you should never fear anyone, and really
Yeah,
showing the similarities all people have rather than the
I
differences.
agree.
And I feel like there's forces right now that are trying to destroy that. They hate that. They hate the
Yeah.
idea that we're more similar than different, and they
Yeah.
try to push that attitude on other people.
Yeah.
And when really anywhere you go in the world, there's a lot of good people and interesting people. And when you travel with them, and even on these
And
trips,
kind.
exactly.
And kind people. I think wherever you go, you're going to find jerks, sure,
Mhm.
and, you know, ne'er-do-wells, but the majority of people in the world are good people. I mean, I really
Mhm.
believe that, even
I
in the
agree too.
crazy world we live in. But doing, you know, doing this work, like in Guatemala and in Guatemala, especially because the language barrier
Mhm.
can make people feel a little funny or whatever, but
Yeah.
something about the drawing is a really universal, it makes us approachable, and it's a cool
Mhm.
way to get to know people through a drawing. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. But
I mean,
we are almost at an hour here. We
I
got
know.
it.
I was saying this is a good thing to wrap up on. So we
Yeah.
will see you in December. And thanks those that have listened. And thanks for
Yeah. And
commenting.
hi, Allison.
And we will see you in December. So thanks so much.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, everyone.